Welcome to the StockMiner.com studios here in the Black Hills of South Dakota. I'm your stock miner, Brian Johnson, making professional trading simple. And welcome to a new week of trading. Look at what we saw last week. Quick recap. 3 days of very, very bearish moves. Now, this entire move up in all of the indices, I have been neutral to bullish all the way up here. Even when we were basing sideways, I was neutral to bullish. And when we broke this level, I remained neutral to bullish, even up through here. Neutral to bullish. I have now been giving enough information to make myself neutral to bearish on the markets now. I can start to really look at some serious short positions, even some more serious short positions in the market. So some of those publications that have been calling the top for a while may be right. They may have got this one right. Only time will tell. We do not have enough information to call an all-in bear type of move yet, but we have certainly got a big start, a great head start in that direction. You can see we wiped out what, 3 months, 8-10 weeks worth of trading in about 3 days. This is how a bear market works. Just like we saw, go back. If you don't remember, just go back a few years and look at the devastation. Look at how quickly it moved down. After moving up, it crawled its way up and it slammed its way down. And that's the way these markets work. If you don't know how to recognize it, or you're not ready for it, or you don't know how to short, or you don't know how to buy puts, you could be, not yet, we don't know convincingly yet, but you could be in a world of hurt if you don't know how to do some of that stuff. So I would highly recommend you start looking into learning how to do those types of positions. But you can see here we wiped through level after level after level of support and not really stopping to look back right now. So will we see a bounce? Yes. When? Once again, when is always the question. Don't know. This could continue down for even a couple more days before we see a bounce in the markets and ultimately another move up for a while. But this is big move down here. This was the big one for me, especially when 10,500 was my call here to get short. But when we broke 10,450 and this 50-day moving average, that was about all she wrote for me. Then I knew we were going to see some continued selling. And sure enough, we did. Look at the volume coming in. You can see it start to pick up here now. So we will continue to watch this, see if we get confirmation. I'm very interested about where the bounce goes and what we see when that happens. But I'm not telling you that it could happen Monday morning. It might not start till Wednesday, Thursday. I would expect some sort of a bounce this week. If we don't see a bounce this week and we just continue in more of a downwardly direction, this could be a very long and very deep correction that we see here. So as it is right now, we are now looking at maybe the 10,100 to the 10,000 area on the Dow for our next heavier level of support. Here you can see the devastation. I shouldn't say devastation. Here you can see the big bear move on the NASDAQ. Everything being pulled downwards here. The NASDAQ included on a 60 coming right down here to this about the 1795 area, which you can see is a strong level. Your next level below that is 1780. Skip ahead to a daily and you can see the big line being broke. More importantly, this more major line, lots of major lines of support being busted this last week. That was very telling to me. And here you can see a big break of it here heading down towards 1780. Next level below that would be 1760 to 1740 if we break below these particular levels. The NASDAQ on a weekly also very telling as we broke this level of support. No stopping, no waiting, no pausing. I would expect to see maybe some sort of a pause for a day at least here at the 20-week moving average. If we do not see that, then we've definitely got probably a much bigger move on our hands. Be watching closely the 17, I think this is the 1750 area here. That should be also very strong support when we get down to it. SPX on a 60-minute, you can see it falling off a cliff here towards the end. Coming down towards that 1085 mark, let's move right to the daily and I'll show you. The 1085 to the 1015 mark was an area. Remember that long sustained trading range we stayed in, and I was pretty much lather, rinse, repeat. You know, when it gets to the top, sell. When it gets to the bottom, buy. Back and forth. Ad nauseum here for a while. We did that. Once it broke 1115, that was my suggestion to go long. We sold up here, came back to here. Now it moved back up again, bounced sideways. Below 1130 was my call to get short. Above 1150 was my call to get long. On the break of 1130, that was your mark to get short this market. And it paid off the first day down to here. My subscribers were told then if they missed that move to get short below 1110, a lot of them did from here. Played it down to 1090. So definitely been lots of opportunities to get into this market. If you have not, there are still more opportunities coming. I know some of you will be upset that you've missed this move or part of this move or all of this move as it might be, but there will be more opportunities as we move forward. But once again, don't panic. Don't chase it. Play the charts. Let the charts tell you where to go. Watch this 1085 level. Below that's about the 1075 level or so. And we have this rising channel line right here as well to contend with when we get down to that area. And those two should be just about converging by the time we reach that area, unless we see a really big gap down on Monday. SPX on a weekly also breaking some heavier lines of support up here and coming right back to the 20-week already. So the NASDAQ not there yet, but the S&P has already seen it. Close enough to call it a test. Look at the VIX. I was in some puts last week, and boy, did they pay off really well. Not only did the market crash to the downside, but the VIX a very sharp move to the upside. So I got the added advantage of increased volatility in that trade, which is what I had been talking about. Even though we had not seen down in this area any fear coming into the market, and I kept making note, there's no fear in the market, nothing yet. And but I also mentioned on many occasions that this was a great time to be buying options if you were an options player because of the volatility being so low. Now we saw in 1 week an incredible run by the VIX. Fear starting to come back into the markets for whatever the reason might be. If that subsides, look for it to come back into this level again and maybe test these areas or hold at these levels if the VIX decides to move down this next week at all, or the markets start to bounce. Apple